got the deal, I got the price I wanted. A lot of great tactics in here. One thing I wish I would have done really early on in my career was read more books. I had business mentors that would give me books and I just would put them on the shelf. And until I started making a habit of reading books, is until I realized that, hey, leaders are readers. And when you can get someone's whole career into a book and read it within a few hours. If I was just starting off in business, a lot of what I realized early on was like mindset was something that just, we have all these like limiting beliefs. And so one book I recommend is Limitless by Jim Kwik. I wouldn't recommend reading the whole book at one time, but just take chapter by chapter, but it's speed reading, energy, limiting the beliefs. So many great things Jim has in here. And it's one of those books that you can reread multiple times and still have takeaways every time you read it. The next book I recommend is Atomic Habits by James Clear. Your habits, we are creatures of patterns, creatures of habits. And it's these little small steps that we can make to create new habits. And at the end of the day, these little habits stack up. There's another book that'd go along with this, is called The Compound Effect, and just little things just stack over time, and just crazy how you can have better results just over even just a few short months, or compounded over a whole year. But highly recommend this. Change your habits and you'll change your future. Early on, I realized that we only know money from the way we were taught and the way we were grown up, and if we grew up poor or middle class or even wealthy, there's just certain little things that we learn differently. One book I recommend is The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. This book really opened up the way my mindset was around money, just how you respect money and how you treat it. And if you don't feel like you own it or you don't feel like you deserve it, you're not gonna hang on to it. Same thing about like investing money versus spending money when you get it. Little things that we learned growing up and how to change those beliefs on your money and how to attract more of it. And Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, highly recommend this book. One of the better sales books I've read a lot of sales books, but The Way of the Wolf by Jordan Belfort. Straight line selling method definitely works. 3 certainties: they gotta trust you, gotta trust the company, and gotta trust the product. The Wolf of Wall Street by Jordan Belfort. There's certain books that you realize, I wish I would have read this a lot sooner. This book is one of those, The Who Not How. Early on as an entrepreneur, you're wearing many hats, you're trying to do everything. And so the who not how really taught me, instead of asking, how do I do this? It's who is the best person for this position? Who's the best person to do this? I've used this in a lot of elements of my life. I feel I want to learn to work out, get around someone that's doing something at a higher level than you. Who Not How by Dan Sullivan, great read. If you're ever getting into negotiations, Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. This guy was an FBI negotiator, literally in hostage negotiation. Took that, applied it to business. I was buying a tractor at one point and literally left the dealership, and then the guy called me on the way back, came back in, I got the deal, I got the price I wanted. A lot of great tactics in here. One of my favorite books, and my business coach, was Dan Martell, Buy Back Your Time. This book really freed up my time, automating processes and not doing the same repetitive tasks over and over again. It also taught me how to refill that time and what to refill that, to planning out my calendar years in advance. So it just aligns with my goals and becoming the 10x version of myself. I really appreciate Dan and everything he's done for me, and highly recommend his book. Traction. This is the entrepreneurial operating system. And so when you run a business, just having that kind of blueprint of how to run a business, how to structure meetings, how to have agendas, set the stage. Super helpful book. Over time, you will find that, or at least for me, I found that your business model will change a little bit and your culture will change. And so it doesn't have to be as strategic and structured as this book, but this book will lay out the foundation for how to initially start your business at a high level. The sequel to Traction is called Rocket Fuel. Rocket Fuel was almost like a biography for me when it comes to visionaries, and almost a marriage books in another way for me, because I married an integrator, and it just shows, as a visionary, for me, casting the vision, having these great ideas and everything. Every major company out there has always had an integrator and a visionary. Steve Jobs is an excellent example of a visionary, but you need the Wozniak to actually implement things and make them happen. Highly recommend Rocket Fuel if you're a visionary. The Millionaire Master Plan. This is a book that not many people talk about, but it really gives you levels of where you're at, and at each level, how to change your mindset, change your perspective, and then change what you need to be doing to get to the next level. Highly recommend this book to anybody that's just starting off to get those stages and understand where they're at currently. I love marketing, been in marketing for 14 years, and a lot of it comes down to psychology Influence by Cialdini is by far one of the best books when it comes to influence and the psychology of how the mind thinks, from auctions to negotiations. I've learned so much out of this book. This book is one that I will continue to reread and take away nuggets. It's a pretty thick book. You're not gonna read it all in one sitting, and I wouldn't recommend doing it all in one sitting. Understand the concepts, grasp them, and then try to implement them. I recommend Influence. All right, Relentless by Tim Grover. This is such a great book. This was literally Michael Jordan's basketball coach. Just thinking it's just the mindset you go into things, the way you think of things, the way you pursue things. This definitely changed my perspective on a lot of things and how I go after them. Even how they create targets, they create enemies, so they have like this driving force to go after them. Great read, and when you want to level up and just continue to have that mindset where you keep pushing forward, be relentless.